Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to Star Trek New Worlds. My name is Tony. Thank you for joining us live today. That is Saturday at 11 o'clock Pacific time, depending on where you are joining us throughout the world. We are coming to you live on YouTube and Twitch. No Facebook today. Facebook, I feel like Facebook and I we're not friends anymore. I don't know what's going on. Hi, welcome to Star Trek New Worlds. If it is your first time here, thank you for taking the time and joining us live. And if you're catching us on the replay, well, thank you as well for joining us in this fun little venture that we have here called Star Trek New Worlds. What is Star Trek New Worlds, you're probably asking? It is a turn-based strategy game that we play using the rules of Federation and Empire, as published by the Amarillo Design Bureau. And the map you will see shortly here is produced through the magic of Vassal. And of course, if it is your first time here and you're probably wondering, whoa, what is this screen I'm looking at? Well, if you are so inclined and you like all things turn-based strategy, Star Trek, and so on, then be like Richard down there, who is our latest subscriber, Richard Hayden, joining us on our journey to the 500 subscriber mark to unlock the community tab here. As we go along the border there, you can see over in the corner, there is the support us at Ko-fi/New Worlds. Whether you choose that link or the QR code between me and the chat, that'll take you to our Ko-fi page where you can fire us a disruptor blast of caffeine today. And join us either on a monthly basis on our Discord channel, or you can give us a one-time shot injection of stimulation that you will see fly across the screen. Of course, the chat is over there on the side. And one last thing, as you see coffees be fired throughout the day today, you will see a progress bar going from that corner all the way over there in green. And that is our progression towards not one, not two, but four. Yeah, we skipped 3. 4 coffees is our goal today, so we'll see what happens as we go. But what are we going to be talking about today? Well, why don't we just skip right to the Galactic news? Hunters died? The capital world of Hunter's Pride fell to the Klingons. After heavy orbital bombardment, the remnants of Task Force Cosnet were swept aside by the massive Klingon battleship and supporting elements before ground troops captured the capital and raised the Klingon flag. With this final defeat, the breakaway polity is no more. Ice Navy? A ravaging ice monster has attacked ISC forces in orbit over the remote world of Perch. It destroyed a destroyer that attempted to intercept it, and now it has settled into a low orbit over the world, blocking all traffic to and from the planet. Will it attack the populace of Perch-Nesk? Next, a planet is gripped in icy terror as they desperately await assistance. Taking out the trash? What seemed to be a newly developing threat of barbarian invasion turned out to be a much ado about nothing. Romulan and Carnarvon forces drove the invaders back with prejudice. It seems that these crude vessels sailing the space lanes were more bark than bite. Mine the Gap? A Gorn deep survey ship exploring the edge of Juggernaut space was mysteriously destroyed. The ship was lost with all hands. Officials who investigated the flight recorders suspect that the vessel drifted into a gravitic minefield. Military planners are considering the possibility that the entirety of the Juggernaut border might be defended by massive minefields. Galactic powers have no such capability at this time. In the words of one Gorn general, we cannot allow a minefield gap. That's amore. The monster slithering about in Tholian space was finally confronted by the Tholian Navy. The mysterious creature was identified as a moray eel. These creatures alone are not extremely dangerous, but over time they multiply and can become a serious menace to shipping as they literally eat freighters for breakfast. Initial reports are that the Tholian fleet suffered minor damage in return. Piracy put to pasture? The Tholian and ISC navies have been busy making the space lanes safer for interstellar commerce. Two major Orion bases, sectors Tango 31 and Gulf 10, were put to the torch by forces of law and order. In unrelated news, the price of Terry whiskey has skyrocketed recently due to dwindling supplies. And that, ladies and gentlemen, has been our Galactic News. Well, exciting and delighting. So other than those exciting headline news, we will also be discussing today Klingon ship captured. We briefly saw a glimpse of it, but we'll talk about more the assimilation of a Klingon battle cruiser. War or containment? What are we going to do with these juggernauts? Apparently, the beginnings of war has been started, but very clearly there have been some engagements with the juggernaut forces, and they seem to be a little more powerful than many of us can handle. So are we going to capture, or are we going to go to war with them, or are we just going to contain them in the center of the map? We'll see. The Pride Falls, as was mentioned, we're going to go over just what happened over at Hunter's Pride and what the end results have been. Rising galactic tensions. We'll share a little bit of some of the roleplay that's going on to discuss the rising political tensions across the map. And, of course, we're going to dive into our Turn 85 reveal. Right. Okay. So, very exciting. This is going to be an interesting turn because, like I say, we're going to be talking about some issues with the Juggernauts and some what I think are some interesting developments when it comes to the different player factions. But without further ado, let's dive into. Oh, before I do, let me just quickly say hello to all of our good friends over in the Chitty Chat. Pulling up the chat. Here we go. So as always, Eugene, our diligent, vocal, and effervescent public affairs officer, is in the chat saying, "This week the wait is over. Can anything other than a Juggy withstand a Klingon battle group centered on a 50 EP battleship. Are more BBs on the way? Who should be most worried? Where are the legendary E1 captains? Are they part of the attempt to bring law and order to the disrupted states, or are they held in reserve in case the Carnivon or Romulans disrespect the Alpha? Maybe. We'll see. Bill is in the house. Captain Adam, as well as Paul Williams. George Fortnell has joined us. Hey, hey. Peanut Gallery is here, of course. You Can't Be Petty is in the house. Eugene, thumbs up. That's right. Everybody hit that like button. We're already in double digits. So thank you for hitting the like button and tickling YouTube in just the right way. And of course, Dell, the never sleeping vampire is here joining us live. Okay. So hello, welcome. Thank you for everybody joining us live, and let's jump into the map. All right, let's get started with the most important stuff, which of course is our EP and fleet cap coverage. Starting with the money, honey. That's right, it's the Carnivon. At 40.5, their economy is 40.5 EP. The Gorn are at a sweet 62. Yes, the ISC at 48.5. The Klingons are skyrocketing after taking out Hunter's Pride and now at 74.5 EP. The Remans are at 63 even. Romulans at 49.5. And the Tholians are at 62.5. Very interesting to see the Remans at 63, the Tholians at 62.5, and the Gorn at 62. Really tight grouping right there. Yeah, interesting to see. Okay, fleet cap. Let's talk about the fleet cap. Carnivons still just under 100 ships with 97 total hulls out there with 253 attack, 414 defense. The Gorn with 85 total ships, 185 attack factors, 332 defense. The ISC still above 100 ships with a 101, 333 their total attack, 489 defense. The Klingons continuing to grow the fleet are at 117 ships with 383 total attack factors, 436 defense. The Remans are still the king of the hill when it comes to ships in the field. 164 total hulls at 494, just under 500 attack factors, 629. Dear God, defense factors, unbelievable. The Romulans are still holding that sweet 77 total hulls. Thank you very much. 77, the peak of punk, the height of disco, the year Star Wars came out. Not that I'm biased. 254 total attack factors and 399 defense. Let's round this out with the number 2 size fleet in the entire galaxy with 128 battleships. Well, battleships, that's a generous term. 183 attack factors and 471 defense. Okay, so yeah, Remans are still king of the hill. Tholians are 128, so a good chunk underneath there, but a good 11 ships ahead of the Klingons. And then rounding out the top 4, we'll say, are the ISC with 101. So 3 of those top 4 are part of the 4 Powers Alliance. And of course, the 4th power is just under 100 hulls. So very sort of, I don't want to say imbalance, but there is a very clear skew in one particular direction when we're talking about the number of ships out in space. All right. So let's talk about the Balkans. The Balkans being this scattered little area of former Lyran and Federation space. So some interesting developments here. We'll start with the Remans, and I'll just move my head to the other side here real quick. You can see up in the corner here, and I'll just take away the ships so it's a little easier to see. They have officially broken through the fog of war hexes. Now, the only challenge is there is a base right here, and there is a chain of supply, 1, 2, 3, 4, to be able to get to Lazarus Industries, which is this little pocket right here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and of course Lazarus Industries with their 2 EP developing planet. So there's certainly access, 1, 2, 3, 4, to most of the resources in there. Once this DD7 hex is unfogged, they'll have free access to all the resources through supply. But when we bring the ships back, we can see Triton Fleet is sitting there waiting to go in. Let's take a look. Triton Fleet. Triton? Oh, dear God, man. Jesus. Okay, 4 Y-era cruisers, KD4s. Not one, but 2 KRMMs. These are the M-era maulers that they have. So these are pretty awesome ships. So 10 attack, 9 defense. Just, I would say, arguably the best cruiser in the game right now. And then, of course, we have a boatload. And when I say boatload, I mean 20 or more destroyers. Oh, my God. There's 20 K4. Oh, my God. So 20 K4s. And then they have these K4Ms, which are their beefed up frigate. Wow. So they're like my E4Ms, just K4Ms. So 2 of those that are there. And then, of course, they have another 17 KE2s. So as far as the size of a fleet, this is ridiculous and definitely overkill, more than they need to be able to take out Foremost Fleet. Let's just for S&Gs, let's just take a look. I don't think we really need to, but, you know, Foremost. Let's see. Where are you? Foremost Fleet. Okay, not nothing. Heavy Dreadnought. 3 of these YCCs and 2 CAs. So, you know, combined. So the Dreadnought alone is not even as much as those KRMs. And then they've got 4 D4s, which, you know, 2 K4Ms, 4 D4s. I would say that it's fair to say between the Dreadnought and the CCs and CAs, you've got a fair match. Now, you try and bring in the YCLs, a total of 7 DDs and, what was that, 2 frigates and a tug. The beatdown is coming, and there is really nothing that's going to be able to hold that back. That is for sure. So I think it's reasonable to expect that the Remans, if they do it effectively, are probably going to own this entire little corner here next turn. So that would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 EP are going to be added to the Reman economic count if they do it correctly. Sooner rather than later. That is for sure. Okay, so we'll see how that goes. So Remans are going to be able to go in and take that out. And once they do, it'll be short order between, once they have Lazarus Industries and they've secured that, that's a logistics point. So 1, 2, 3, 4, they'll have easy access to the Red Roost. And to be fair, even though there may be the most catastrophic battle you could ever wish for, I mean, they do have a YDK and 5 YPGBs. So it's not nothing, but I really think it's a foregone conclusion. Give them a turn or 2 to repair, and then they'll go after Red Claw. So let's just take a quick look at Red Claw. Red Claw Fleet. Okay, so 2 CCs, 3 CAs, a couple YCLs, and then 7 YDDs. So, you know, I mean, I just don't see this being a long, drawn-out battle. I would say in the next 4 turns, so by the time that we get to turn 90, this is turn 85 that we're showing you the map for right now. So once we get to turn 90, I expect that entire pocket will be Reman. And if the Remans don't execute that, I'm sure they will. All right, let's move on to, let's do the Gorn first. There's a little bit less to talk about down here just because of their gradual. Oh, that's interesting. Okay, so the Gorn had previously sent a, shall we say, they used the soft touch when it came to getting Cobalt into their alliance. So they have Cobalt. Interesting, they haven't decided to claim this little resource here. But they've got a W-era battle cruiser, mobile fleet here, and 5th fleet. So we know that mobile fleet is their W-era fleet. 5th fleet is probably not much more here. Let's take a look. So a couple of YCs. Yeah, okay. So YCCs, YCL, DD, and 3 FFs. And then we've got Diplomat and YCL. Interesting that I expect they're probably going to do the diplomatic approach to try and get the Lyrans on side. Because if they weren't, why don't they just roll in a massive fleet and take out this little Farstars fleet and so on? Interesting. So anyways, we'll see how the Gorn pursue their diplomatic approach and how successful they may or may not be. There's probably quite a bit of back and forth between the GM and the player, that's Captain Adam, on the role-playing side. So we'll have to see how that goes and how that develops. Interesting. All right, the Carnivon. Well, they certainly have something to deal with. If you didn't catch us last time, we talked about kitty cats and dogs meeting each other in space and what kind of fur will fly. Olympus fleet, which is the Kzinti, otherwise the cats, space tigers, they are there with Olympus fleet. Now, just as a quick reminder, Olympus fleet is not nothing. It is a Y-era DN, 2 M-era cruisers, 2 M-era strike cruisers, 2 M-era CLs, light cruisers, 3 M-era frigates, and 2 scouts. And then a bunch, 1, 2, 3, and another 3 frigates, Y-era ships. So you have quite a collection of stuff here, not to mention that they also have a YDK and 6 planetary ground bases, Y-era planetary ground bases. So more than enough to make a go of it. Now, the Carnivon have consolidated, it would seem, their position with a couple tugs, a couple YCAs, 3 of them, 3 YCLs, and Topaz Fleet. Now let's take a look here, Topaz Fleet. So Topaz Fleet is not nothing. You've got a DN, CC, CA. So if you combine the 3 CAs from before, you've got a total of 1 YCC and 4. Sorry, great. Yeah, 4 YCAs. A bunch of drone bombardment cruisers, 4 of them. They've got a drone bombardment destroyer, 3 DDs, and a host of YFFs. 9 there and 2 here, so a total of 11 YFFs. So I wouldn't say that it's a foregone conclusion that they would win a fight. After all, again, 6 planetary ground bases and a YDK along with that M and Y fleet, but certainly enough to be able to make a dent. And if I was the Carnivon and I had the ability to, I would fight a war of attrition with the Kzinti. Establish yourself a base, probably in this hex right here, Quebec 7. I would establish a base there and just do a bunch of approach battles on the base so that the planetary ground base and the YDK aren't necessarily involved in the combat. Do these kind of pepper attacks and see how that goes. The only challenge is when you retreat from those approach battles, the M-era ships will most likely catch you in pursuit battle, and it will be, assuming you have crippled ships, you're going to lose a couple, most likely. Or you're going to have other ships crippled. Know and assume that they will always have an EW advantage because they have 2 scouts. So if they have a scout and you don't have one, they'll have the EW advantage. That's going to make things challenging. And of course, when you do get to the base or the base in the planet, because of the number of planetary ground bases that they have, each one of those bases carrying an EW point, they will have a 2 shift, not just a 1. So it'll be significant, the delta, the difference between these 2 fleets, the effectiveness of the Kzinti versus the Carnivon. In short, the Carnivon are going to need a significant repair capacity to be able to bolster their fleet, recover and attack again. And I would expect they would probably need to reinforce that fleet substantially because they will suffer losses, and in order to be able to take Olympus fleet in that Kzinti planet. Which is interesting because it'll set them up for success when they eventually get into. Whoa! Ladies and gentlemen, a coffee has been fired from the juggernauts. Oh, Carl, assimilate D's nuts. Unfortunately, YouTube's not liking that comment, my friend. So just be careful. YouTube censors. You know. They don't like a certain kind of commentary. But yes, thank you for the coffee, the caffeination persuasion, the juggernauts firing caffeine our way. I have a sneaking suspicion I know why. Not only because the Juggernauts are phenomenal supporters of this channel, but we've got some interesting things to talk about when it comes to the Jugs, so to speak. All right. Let's slide down and talk about... Get rid of that. Let's talk about the ISC real quick. Notice, and I'll move my head to the other side so it's a little bit easier to see everything. Notice that the ISC do not have an Orion base there anymore. It was talked about briefly in the headline news, but the ISC are wiping away Orion influence in their space. You will see that there is, well, just a tug sitting there. Excuse me, just a tug sitting there in that sector of space, and Judge and Second Fleet hovering in the fog of war. So very interesting to see the use of military force to get rid of those Orion pirates, that they're not using them to their advantage. Interesting. Okay. And the big news in this sector of space, as you can see, there is no more blue in this little pocket, but rather just a collection of gray and unclaimed resources, which will certainly change soon. Yes, so an interesting note here in the retro orders for the battle. One of the things that had been mentioned in the rules, it was kind of a pet peeve at some point, was the garrison rule. So in the standard F&E game, once you conquer a planet, you need to sort of leave forces there to maintain it. Otherwise, there is a chance for it to revolt. And I believe, depending on the dynamics, there is a greater chance than not that they would revolt, depending on the situation. So, with that said, when I gave the retro orders for this B10 Invulnerable, which we will show here in a momento, invulnerable, there we are, invulnerable. So we have a B4B, a bunch of D6Ms, and E4Ms. So when we attacked Hunter's Pride, of course, we brought the whole kit and caboodle. But when we retroed, the B4B was to remain in place on Hunter's Pride, claiming the planet. And the D6Ms and the E4Ms were to retro to New Kennel, where they came from. And that was done in an effort to sort of maintain a military presence on each of these planets and to prevent any kind of revolution or revolt. So that was the intent there. So that's just a little typo, I believe. We'll sort that out. Easy peasy. But as you can see, this area has now been claimed. Now let me take away the ships real quick and demonstrate something that's particularly useful on this end. So one of the biggest concerns, one of the biggest constraints when it comes to attacking and maintaining your momentum of movement throughout this map is logistics and supply. And whereas in previous games, and we've had discussions with Daniel, our GM, about sort of logistics and when it comes to conquering planets and so on, and in the Federation and Empire rule set, you can, in the vanilla rules, we'll call them, you can gain supply from a planet after you've conquered it at the end of your turn. And as a reminder, this is a turn-based game. So as a turn-based game, what ends up happening is you have, let's say, for example, in this case, we have 7 players. So player 1 goes, they go through their entire phases, all the different components of their turn ends. Player 2 goes, and then player 3, and so on and so forth. So at the end, let's say player 1 is the Klingons. In this case, it's not the case, but let's say the Klingons finish their turn, and then the next turn, let's say the Tholians go. So in that case, at the end of my turn, going into the Tholian turn, once the Tholian turn starts, I would then be able to draw supply from those planets, by example, if I conquered them that turn. And so that's an example of how that works. Now, in some previous games, we had discussed the idea, or there had been a mechanic in place whereby you could not draw supply from a planet immediately after conquering it, and rather that it went through a period of annexation and then recovery after being devastated, which ended up being about 14 turns. So there was 10 turns of devastation and 4 turns of recovery. Now you could accelerate the recovery with a hospital ship, but the devastation was 10 turns. And all that meant was there was a combination of things. One, you would only get 1 EP for the period of time that it was devastated, or whatever we have a slightly different number depending on the size of the planet. Basically, 1 for everything up to a minor planet and 2 for a medium or major. And so you would only get that for the planet, and then once it was recovered, fully recovered, you get the full EP. So that's how that worked. Now, in this particular game, that was not the mechanic we were using, and we were just using, we'll call it the vanilla rule set, and whereby at the end of the turn, you've conquered and claimed that planet, and you can then draw supply from it. So as we've talked about this going forward, one of the concerns or the constraints is that in order to slow down the momentum of some players who might bulldoze their way through another player, and we've seen the Klingons do this at least once, there would be an effort to sort of reinstigate that annexation rule. And there is an advanced rule in the Federation Empire rule set around this, but we just weren't using it in this particular campaign. So thinking about that going forward. So I mentioned that in the context of to understand that at the end of the turn, once you've conquered a planet, you have supply from it, and to understand the sort of the stepping stones of what that looks like. Okay. So we have supply coming through the wormhole, and if we look over, just without thinking about bases, this wormhole here is right next to a planet. So there, and I've got other bases here too, but planet and a couple of bases, these are all supply points, and they draw or provide supply through that wormhole. So there's the wormhole. I've also got a base on this wormhole just to add, but if you count the planet that was right next to it, 1 into the hex, 2 going through the wormhole, 3 and 4. So if I have 4 supply, I have supply to Hunter's Pride and New Kennel. Both of these are supply points, and they provide 4 hexes of supply, assuming supply 4. 1, 2. Oh, that includes Savannah, and then Savannah, again, 4 supply from there. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's take away the bases real quick. So you can see here, based on the supply menu, which I will pull up here very quickly, set supply. Let's set supply as 4. And we'll show you Klingon supply once I can find Klingon on here. There you are. Harder to see, I know. But basically, what we're demonstrating is that right up to here, the Klingons have supply, which means ships can move that far, attack the base, and so on. Now, let me take away the supply. Take away supply. When we bring the bases back, you'll notice there is not only more than a couple bases, but there's some fleets in the way as well. But if we look at the disposition of logistical assets here, so we've got a planet here, a colony here, and of course the Soul Confederacy. So if the Klingons, by example, were successful in attacking and conquering this planet and this colony, even just as is, they have supply to the Soul Confederacy, the home system. Excuse me. And that's important because to be able to gain access to and then harvest all the resources, there is a very clear supply chain that allows the Klingons, assuming that they can eliminate the Federation forces, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then whatever's in the home system there, they can get quick access to all those resources. So I am illustrating that to show 2 things. 1, it is good reason to include the annexation rule in the next game, because this kind of bulldozing, or like blitzkrieg, or as you were kind enough to refer to it last week, Blitz King, that kind of tactic can be game ending for some players. And especially if you've got sort of a really disproportional a weight of ships, as is kind of the case here right now. So in order for fairness, in order to be able to make things sort of a little easier for folks, I think it's a good idea to bring in that annexation rule for next game. It just also means that you need to think about providing yourself supply as you advance. So, for example, there's a tug here in GTFA, GTFA right here, this TGB. So we finished building this base here. This excuse me, this tug could go up here to Savannah, build another base. And if we weren't getting supply from these planets, then if I built a base there, then it would just slow me down by a couple turns before I would then be able to move on towards this collection of Federation planets and bases, which, if you were a player faction, just buys you some time to build bases, build units, to help defend yourself. And I think that's a fair thing, just to be able to increase the fun factor for players, so they can enjoy the game. What do you think? You let me know. All right, so that's the Balkans, so to speak, and let's quickly touch base with the Tholians, and then we'll jump into the chat and have a little back and forth. Incidentally, actually, I'll just jump back real quick. Whoop. So I'm just noticing as I look here, as you're doing a live stream, YouTube provides you some sort of data and analytics as we're going. And I'm noticing that the signal, for whatever reason, as far as the number of people that it's showing as watching, is up and down like a yo-yo. And I'm wondering if that's affecting your viewing experience if you're watching it live. Are you noticing stuttering? Are you noticing some kind of quality issue there? You let me know. And give me a heads up as to whether YouTube is nice and smooth for you. And of course, if you're watching us over on Twitch, feel free to join us here on YouTube, that you can get in on the chat. You can find us. You can, well, you know what? Oh, it's not in the chat. I can't put the chat. I cannot put it in the chat for Twitch at the moment. But you can find us at Star Trek New Worlds on YouTube. Actually, at ST New Worlds is the handle. So you can find that there. And yeah, okay. Nope. All good, says You Can't Be Petty. Not seeing any issues, Tony, says Bill. Okay, good. All right. Well, let's roll on into the map here and talk about the Tholians. So you can see the Tholians here. The thing that catches my attention is, of course, the little yellow guy here on the left. We saw the Carnivons and the Romulans face some visitors from the edge of the galaxy, and I'm wondering if we made the joke last week, is this the beginning of the Sea People from the collapse of the Bronze Age perspective? So is this the Federation and Empire version of the Sea People? I wonder, because this could be the depending on how the game master is running the environment, this could be the beginnings, the leading edge of a wave of potential migrants or refugees or invading armies that may be coming from the edge of the galaxy. Something interesting to think about. I know from, for example, in the Warhammer 40k universe, the Tyranids are a faction, and they are known to be coming from the outside of the galaxy, except not on the horizontal plane, from the vertical plane. They are coming into the galaxy from the edges, edges being top and bottom in this case. And so it's interesting to see how they infiltrate into the galaxy and how factions deal with that. So if this is the case here, and then we're looking at it from a lateral plane, and we have folks coming in from the edges, what is that going to look like? And if that is the case, are all the factions going to face their own sort of sea people coming into the area? It'd be interesting to kind of see how that evolves. Just a thought. Okay. Excuse me. Cool Invaders are extra galactic GW tech. Yeah, I don't know if they have GW tech or not. We'll see. Daniel says, YDK has EW. Yes, the amount of EW generated is variable depending on how much firepower you want to sacrifice. Yes. Okay, let's take a look at the Tholians. You can see the top here. Now that the Hunter's Pride is no longer a thing, First Fleet is of interest. So you got a YDK here with a Y-era cruiser, YPC, 5 YPCs, and then, of course, First Fleet. Now, Tholian First Fleet is a bunch of cripples. However, you can see here we've got 5 crippled YPCs and a YDD, but it is a YDK here, so it's pretty much going to be able to repair most of these guys. This, interestingly enough, the YDD is a 3-point repair, 3 points of damage, and the YDK can repair 8 points of damage. So I'm curious. Let me just see here. If I flip this guy, those are 1 point. So 1, 2, 3. So he could repair. Oh no, this is. Let's see here. Flip this bad boy. That's 3 points of damage, and then another 2, 5. Oh, so he could repair all those ships, interestingly enough. He could repair all those ships in the same turn, next turn. So all those ships could be repaired, and basically now he'll have a fleet of 2 Y cruisers, 2 YDDs, and a total of 10, 10 YPCs. So that'll be interesting, and I'm sure that if we were going to have a battle, that he would create a bunch of pinwheels, and that would just be fun. Exciting. Interesting to note, and I'd be curious to know the answer from the GM. I haven't looked into it because I haven't had cause yet. But it would be interesting to know, as pinwheels are treated like bases, and I believe you do approach battles with pinwheels, can you do approach battles and not engage the pinwheel, but rather just pepper and peel away the ships that aren't part of the pinwheel? Because if they're part of the pinwheel, they're fixed, like a base. And you can do an approach battle. But you've got 3 rounds to do approach battles before you get to the base. So if they don't include, or they make as many pinwheels as they want, and they don't include those other ships, you can just target those other ships before you get to the pinwheel. Right? Just a thought. Just a thought. Okay, let's going across the top of their area. You can see that we've got another convoy here, potentially going to make another YBS. We've got some commando ships. Look at that. 1, 2, 3 commando ships. I have this feeling. I've got a feeling deep down inside that the Tholians are going to prepare to. Let's take a look at the Tholian 312th Battle Squadron. 2 YCs, a total of 12 DDs, and 6 YPCs. Interesting. I wonder if that's going to be enough. So they've got a bunch of commando ships, and then that fleet, along with 2 crippled YPCs, that I think they're going to use to try and attack the hegemony. It'll be interesting to see if they do that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, interesting. Interesting. Okay. It'll be very interesting to see how that turns out if that occurs. As my my wheels start spinning in the back. Of course, this is the first time I've seen this map, so I'm just kind of thinking as I go here. So as we scroll down, you can see, of course, the mass of forces that are preparing what looks like to invade the Federation space. And of course, we have the basically 101 battle squadron, which was we had it up here, so I'm going to go 101. So you can see here we have a total of 3 cruisers, 8 destroyers. We have 10 YPCs, and then the captured Riemann ship here on the edge of space for the Juggernauts, and of course Vengeance Fleet, which is the Gorn fleet there too as well. They're just kind of sitting here with Brachy Fleet. Now Brachy Fleet, if you do recall, is the fleet from the Juggernauts that has the big bad dreadnought. So this is an assault dreadnought, I believe, and it's an 18 attack, 16 defense ship. Wow. 18 attack, 16 defense, and it's a mauler, which means 18 of that damage can be directed on a single target, which I don't care what target it is. It's an instant kill. It's an instant kill. So it can kill 1 ship every turn without question. Wow. And okay. And then they've got, again, 5 frigates and 3 destroyers and a light cruiser. Okay. Fair. That's interesting. And of course, they still have a starbase in that same hex as well. So I think taking out that target is going to be a challenge. But we'll see how this goes. So they've got a number of ships sort of in the vicinity here. You can see we've got crippled YPCs and second fleet, Tholian second fleet, which is not, not a crazy amount of ships. You've got 4 destroyers, 2 cruisers, and a total of 4 YPCs. Nothing crazy, but sitting on the Whiskey wormhole, which we'll check out on the other side, but that is the wormhole that's in ISC space. The November wormhole, you can see here with Third Fleet, so Tholian Third Fleet is, again, 2 cruisers, 2 destroyers, and a total of 7 YPCs sitting here on the November wormhole, which is the Riemann one. And then the Gulf wormhole, I don't believe anyone's gone through Gulf, and they've got Tholian 4th Fleet here, and you've got just 2 YPCs. Nothing. Still the derelict ship in the background, not anything happening, or nothing is going on with that one, which is interesting. And as we go into this area here, you can see that they've got, essentially with the help of the Gorn, they've eliminated the other base station that was in this area. And so we can reasonably expect that 1, 2, 3, I believe there should be a starbase, a starbase right around here. And so, oh no, sorry, I think Zulu 29, my mistake. So if we're assuming that Charlie 28 is the center mass, the bullseye of the Juggernaut faction, then 1, 2, 3 is right there, and then 1, 2, 3 would be Zulu 29. So we've got a starbase there, a starbase here, probably a starbase in Charlie 31, and so on. We've got Ravati fleet here sitting next to, oh, you can't see that. Let me slide my head over. You've got Ravati fleet, which is this base station here, and then you got a base station up in the corner here, but we'll talk about those guys in a secunde. Right. Well, let's go back to the chat real quick and check in on what's going on. All right, everybody. So let me hear what it is you have to say. I see... Daniel, an approach battle doesn't include the base and or pinwheel. However, the defender must accept an approach battle or it doesn't happen. Of course. Interesting. Okay. So it must accept an approach battle. An approach battle, yeah, but the defender must accept an approach battle or it doesn't happen. Right. So, but defenders don't have a choice. Well, I guess they can decline the approach battle and then just fight it at the base. Yeah, okay, I get it, yeah. So just as I'm thinking about that, so anytime you approach a planet or a base, anything that's treated like a base, which is planets and in this case pinwheels, you have to offer the approach battle, and the attacker and or the defender can accept it. So if you don't accept it, you withdraw before battle, or if you're the defender, you're falling back to the base. The attacker then has the option to continue to the base or withdraw. But then, of course, if the defender doesn't accept the approach battle, you just go to the pinwheel in the base and have that fight. So we'll see. We'll see how that goes. All right. Eugene says, in Juggy fleets, there was a question mark or a white backing. What is the speculation intelligence on that ship? Good question. I don't know. Unseen, Bill says. We know there is a fleet, but by that name, but we can't see it. Let's take a look. So Lasath. Let's take a look here. Yeah, so basically Lasath fleet, as I see it here, is not visible on the map. So I would show you the map. You can't see it. So there's no Lasath fleet. We know there is a Lasath fleet out there somewhere, but there's no fleet units or ships in that fleet box that we can see, because we can't see the fleet. Is probably in the fog of war hexes, and we can't see it. However, on that note, there is, and we'll get to it here in a moment, there is, on the Klingon side, there is Elnath fleet in India 31, and there is no fleet box for it in the minor fleets or the minor empires fleet box, I guess. Like there's nothing there. Oh, never mind. I can see it now. I just had to expand the box for some reason. That's strange. Okay, I can see it now. Operator error. Always exciting and fun. Okay, we'll talk about that later. All right. Whew. Okay, I need a flash, a recharge of caffeine. Stand by. Oh, yeah. Okay, so as a quick recap, if you are following along here on today's live stream, and we're about 50 minutes in. If you catch this long, if you've followed us this long, thank you so much for staying with us. If you haven't already, hit that thumbs up button and be like Richard. If you're 50 minutes in, you must like what we're doing. Be like Richard down there. Hit the subscribe button. Help us get to 500. As a quick insight, we are 294 as of the time of this recording for subscribers, and we're so close to 300. So if we can get to 300, that would be phenomenal. Can we get to 300 by next live stream? It's only 6 subscribers. Can you tell 2 friends? Let everybody know what we're doing here, what's going down. Yeah, let's get to 300. Let's crack 300 on our way to 5 so we can get that community tab, hopefully. All right. Hoorah! I like to see the Gorn and the Tholians maintain their focus and continue to spank the Juggies. Keep pushing to the center, George says. Interesting. Interesting choice of words there, George. Spanking. Fair. Okay. All right. Let's slide into the exciting and delighting world of the Romulans. All right. So the Romulans, Romulans are styled after the Romans and their legions. And of course, it's ironic that the Romans are now Italians. And, well, we've got the big boot. Now they've got quite the heel that's extended here. And you can see that they are working hard to expand their exploration down the pointy edge of this heel very aggressively, very interestingly. Also, we have the continued sort of like exploration at the top of the boot. What's very interesting, as always, as I keep mentioning, the Romulans are doing a great job of exploring space for the Klingons. Thank you very much. Thankfully, I mean, there's no resources that have been discovered, nothing that's sort of like contentious, shall we say, in that regard. But you can see here they're floating around Ravati fleet, which is, again, bats. And if we pull up the minor fleets menu here, you can see Ravati, which is the fleet on here, is a light cruiser, 2 DDs, and 3 FFs. More than enough to use George's terminology, spank the Romulans. In any engagement, because they don't really have anything substantive in that neighborhood that would perhaps prevent nothing. They don't have anything in that area that's going to contest with that particular fleet. But we can see here we've got I'm assuming expedition fleet. Let's take a look. Expeditionary fleet. There we go. Ooh, look at this. Okay, so we've got 2 KEMs. So that's the King Eagle M era. They are command cruisers for the Romulans. 5-8 ships. The Queen Eagle. Now, if memory serves, I believe the Queen Eagle is just a cruiser, not a command cruiser. So Queen Eagle's 5-7 ship, and then you've got a number of these SNBs. And so we've got a total of 5 of those heading north as well. So a more substantive fleet from the Romulans heading north into this area. Very interesting to see. It would seem that the Romulans are doing a good job of convincing the members of, what was the name of this place? Scintilla? Regardless, the Paravians in this little hex right here with Vulture Fleet, they are doing a good job of making them happy and converting them to the Romulan way. It'll be very interesting to see them claim... Whoa! Ladies and gentlemen, another coffee has been fired. George Forknell, thank you very much, sir. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. So much coffee. It's coming out of my mouth. This is good. Thank you very much. Yeah, so we've got the Paravians and the Romulans being nice with the Paravians to be able to get that particular planet in their hold. And again, as we were talking about when you bring them on side, one of the advantages actually when we're talking about the annexation, when you do it from a military perspective, it takes 10 turns to get the planet. But if you do it diplomatically, they are instantly, or like next turn, they are providing supply and full economic status. So there is an advantage to the diplomatic conversion, and this would be an example of that. So if you were able to convert them, hopefully they are, once you convert them over, then they provide you full economy and supply right away. So that would be good. And in this case, it would be great because they've got a YDK here. They'll have a planet here, so full supply line, and I imagine they're setting themselves up for success to be able to get at this Zulu 29 base station, and there is probably one in Charlie 31. So Zulu 29 and double Charlie 31 here. Again, probably another starbase, and if those two starbases have substantial fleets on them, well, the Romulans are going to have their hands full. That is for sure. Okay, so that's interesting. So one of the interesting notes with the Romulans this last turn, and I will share with you a little snippet of the exchange between the Romulans and the Klingons. So there's a little bit more to this message, but I will share this little snippet. We are giving you advance warning that we are deploying a fleet to the border to maintain similar ship numbers. These are entirely defensive in nature, and we look forward to the recall of ships located along our common border. So this is a clear telegraph and, one might say, warning that the Romulans are going to be sending some ships to this border. Why would they do that? Why would they want to send ships over? Well, let me show you. So as we kind of roll into the Klingon side of this turn, let me show you what's going on. If you recall last turn, on this base here, there was Red Fleet. Now, I notice there's two Red Fleet counters. I think that's a typo, because there's only one Red Fleet, unless there's duplicious activity here. So let's just get rid of this. Get rid of that counter. Okay. So there we go. So we've got Red Fleet here. Now we've got Red Fleet, Emperor Fleet, and 4 F4s here. So what's in Red Fleet? Klingon Fleet Red. Ooh. So you can see here we've got a D7M. That was the first D7 fielded by the Klingons. 3 F5s, which is the M-era destroyer, replacement for the F4, and the E4Ms. So it's interesting to note here we've got a fleet of what looks like a full build cycle, cruiser, 3 destroyers, 3 frigates, and they're sitting on top of this planet here. This planet last turn was an independent planet, and for the longest time has been independent in the neutral zone. The Klingons took it this turn. Why? Are you poking the bear? Are you trying to stir the pot? What's going on? Well, there is some role-playing elements that, if you are interested to find out, you can find on our Discord channel in the story narrative channel for we have various channels. So in the New Worlds campaign, we have a number of channels associated with that. There is a story narrative one. If you want to read that story narrative and find out all the back channel stories, or rather histories of what's going on, and the developing narrative of and tapestry of the interplay here, then please feel free to head over to Discord. Hit that link just above my head, and you can check out our different tiers of support. One of them gets you onto our Discord channel, the Discord and Coffee, and you can check that out for yourself. But suffice it to say that the Klingons and the Romulans have some rising disagreements along the border. And in that vein, the Klingons decided to claim Siri, which is what that planet was, or that colony was. So we've claimed Siri, and you will notice that, like I say, there's a D7 there, and 3 destroyers and 3 frigates. You will also notice there are 4 destroyers here. Emperor Fleet is nothing. That's, let's see here, Emperor Fleet. You can see here it's a D3 and a 4. Really nothing there. It was actually positioned there on that base as just a way to protect the base and offer a logistical supply point for the commercial traffic that's going back and forth. You will see that there's 14th Legion here. Now, the Romulan 14th Legion, nothing too big, but it's a QEM and an SMB. So all it is it's a cruiser and a frigate of their most recent versions, right? Like their most up-to-date cruiser and their most up-to-date frigate. Okay, that's good. Not overtly threatening or anything like that, as opposed to the Klingons putting 4 destroyers and a stack of 7 ships, including their most modern cruiser on the border, perhaps you might consider that a little provocative. Maybe. But rising tensions along the border nonetheless. Certainly we're not at the Cuban Missile Crisis just yet, but we've definitely got some rising temperatures along the border between the Romulans and the Klingons. Interesting to note, again, the continual exploration of over and past the neutral zone border here. How is that influencing, or how is that sort of being part of this whole sort of equation? Well, we'll have to see. We'll have to see how this all evolves. But let's just say that things don't happen in isolation, and the things are developing, shall we say. All right. Let's slide into the Klingon turn and just take a quick little look in the backyard. Now, as we mentioned, there was some attacks and various things that happened in the Balkans. We saw that with the fall of Hunter's Pride, and this is the other end of that wormhole. So you can see a bunch of crippled ships on this side, 6 here. There's a 6 F4s, an F4, and a bunch of E4Ms here. These are all ships that are part of the ships that have retreated after dealing with the various attacks on the other side of the wormhole. So these ships are going to get repaired and then sent back through that wormhole. What else do we have here? You notice that there's a Carnarvon ship sitting on the Klingon homeworld, and it's got an R&D team. So that R&D team and Diplomat are going to stay there. The YDD is going to pick up the Klingon R&D team and start heading back to their homeworld right here. And you'll be able to see them heading that way. Now, the Carnarvon ship is a homeless ship, and it's being supported by the Klingon supply net, so it'll be able to move at full speed on its way back. Easy peasy. What else we got here? We've got D4N continuing its diplomatic missions to improve planetary attitude here on Nippon. We have West Fleet, which is a new fleet that's kind of popped up here. And let me show you what's in West Fleet real quick. West Fleet. Here we are. So you see we got a tug, TGB, along with F5s and E4Ms. You can tell that this is a full build cycle for the Klingons. TGs in this context are cruiser hulls. So that is a tug. You can build 1 per year. And so there's a tug, and again, full build of destroyers and frigates heading up that way. The intent will be to build out bases in this area. We started doing that, but then we got distracted with some other things. And so building out bases in this area will help support the, shall we say, the effort to reinforce, re-emphasize Klingon territorial integrity with the sort of incoming Romulans and so on. But the most exciting part of the turn was what happened up near this fleet here. Okay, so before it was the Klingon turn, it was the Juggernaut turn. And what did the Juggernauts do? Those sneaky bastards. They attacked me. They attacked, I'm trying to find the email for the battle. Is it? All right, I have to look it up. So essentially, the Juggernauts from their base that you can see here in India 31 reached out and attacked my D4E. Not this one. There was another one, a D4E with a prime team. So it was up in this area, and it got attacked. More than a little annoying. So it got attacked, and it couldn't, like, it's a Y-era survey cruiser. It can't fight off nor run away from an entire fleet of M-ships. And, well, it was going to get sacked. But what was interesting when they encountered the fleet was they had, the Juggernauts that is, had this in the, you can see here there is a CL, a JD3, DDs, and FFs. There was a assimilated Y-era Klingon cruiser. And what's important about that? A couple turns ago, a D3 was sent in to encounter the Juggernauts. On that ship was a, shall we say, VIP. And that VIP and the ship disappeared. Poof. So what ended up happening was, as we can see here, the ship was captured and was assimilated into, shall we say, Juggernaut technology. A D3 is a 3 attack, 5 defense ship. This is now a full 7 ship, straight 7. So that's quite an upgrade. And before the D4E was destroyed, it used its special sensors to be able to, in the classic Star Trek II canon, used prefix codes to be able to access the internal view screen and cameras of the ship. They saw our VIP sitting on the command throne, captain's chair, of the D3 cruiser, wired into it something very akin to the Borg. Now, what we know about the Juggernauts is that they are artificial intelligence, or at least that's the impression we've been given. They are some kind of artificial intelligence. And they've taken this biological life form and they have integrated it into the technology of the ship. So, this VIP is the Alpha. The Alpha was captured. The Alpha was integrated into the ship. And so now that we have identified this, the Klingons, from a role-playing perspective, we have identified that our fearless leader has been abducted and has been integrated or assimilated into Juggernaut technology. We need to rescue him. So Green Fleet, unbeknownst to when we issued orders, we didn't know that this was going to happen. We engaged the fleet, and the D4E, having been destroyed, had given us the data that there was the Primarch, the Alpha, on this JD3. So in an effort to try and soften them up, Green Fleet went into that battle, a battle with that particular fleet, Elnath fleet, with a light cruiser, the JD3, 2 DDs, and 3 frigates. So instead of just doing a normal battle where we might accidentally damage the D3 and harm the Primarch, what we did was we direct damaged, there we are, the FFs. So we produced enough. We had 4 D4s and I think it was 19 E4Ms. So we had enough in a battle line to be able to produce a sizable amount of attack factors, and we direct damaged the FFs every turn, either destroying, crippling, and or destroying them in each turn. And so we did 3 approach battles, and in 3 approach battles, we were able to destroy 2 frigates and cripple 1. Keeping in mind that those are 5/5 ships with a special ability of a 3 damage point shield regen. So we were able to punch through that shield regen, destroy 2 of those frigates, and cripple 1. And so now the objective will be to be able to repair our ships and go back in and get our Primarch. What will be the end result of that capture or that rescue? Very Picard-esque when it comes to the Borg. The Enterprise going in to rescue Picard and figuring out what they can get. Will we be able to gain any significant intelligence on the Juggernauts? Will it provide any insight, or will it just be an ego trip of being able to figure it out? We shall see. On the back end of the Klingon story, what you will remember is, and let me come back to this screen while I tell you the story. So remember, there are 3 Primarchs, so to speak, in the Klingon Alpha Legion inspired empire. We have the Alpha, the Gamma, and Omicron. So the Alpha, obviously the first of the 3, is the one that was captured by the Juggernauts. Omicron currently is the one operating in that theater around Green Fleet. So he is the one. Whoa, ladies and gentlemen, another coffee has been fired. Let me just quickly. Ooh. Who sent that coffee? Let's figure it out. Bam! There it is. Ladies and gentlemen. Oh, it doesn't say. What? Oh, that thing that goes bump in the night. There we are. The thing that goes bump in the night. Thank you for your coffee support. 3 out of 4 ready to go. One more, and then we hit our goal for today. Bam! All right. So what's going on? We have 3 Primarchs. We have the Alpha, Omicron, and Gamma. Alpha was the one that was captured. Omicron is the one that's operating in that theater with Green Fleet. And the Gamma is the one that is currently prosecuting the war in the Balkans. So Omicron, which is the, if you recall, as I've given you sort of the background of our 3 different Primarchs, Omicron is the more diplomatic, subterfuge, sneaky one of the bunch. Alpha is very much straightforward, the Powell doctrine, shall we say, and Gamma is a combination of the sort of the warrior culture inspired by some kind of external agency or external spiritual power, but does a combination of those two, the Omicron and the Alpha. He likes to do the Alpha attack kind of approach, and is deceitful in the way that he communicates what he communicates. Excuse me. So Omicron is the one who is currently prosecuting the war in and around Elnath Fleet. Elnath Fleet is the one that currently has the Alpha in it. And so now Omicron, seeing that his brother is captured and somehow tortured and integrated into this artificial intelligence, is going to raise hell or high water to be able to get his brother back. Keep in mind the background and the history of the Klingons, in that the Klingon Empire, the cataclysm, the schism that happened in the history of the Klingon Empire was the rise and the revolt of AI. So there is a history in the Klingon Empire, in the Klingon sort of consciousness of AI rising and causing disruption, dissent, and attacking Klingons. So when you see an AI like the Juggernauts that have attacked and subjugated and manipulated one of their own, one of their heroes, one of their brothers into this environment to be integrated into their technology in this way, there is a sense of revulsion and a requirement to defend your family kind of thing. If you think about that, Omicron sees his brother in this painful, tortured state, and so he feels the need, the drive, the desire to not only rescue, defend, but avenge his brother. And so that's what we're going to see sort of play out over the next couple turns. We'll see how that goes. It'll be very interesting to see if I can even pull it off, because the Juggernauts are tough, and I'm sure after getting beaten up, there's going to be more ships that are coming that way, and we'll see what happens. But whether or not we can rescue the Alpha from the D3 is going to be very hard, because the rules around capturing ships it's very difficult to capture a ship. So we'll have to see how that works. We may not be able to rescue. We may only be able to avenge. We'll have to see how that plays out. But anyway, that's the story behind that, and let's slide back in to the map. All right, so as a recap, that's Elnath Fleet. That's where the Alpha is being held captive. Surrounding fleets are trying to support an attack. And as you can see here, we've got D6M and E4M on its way to support Green Fleet. We've got a Commando F4, which is on its way up here. And then Green Fleet's got some cripples that it's got to repair. And as you can see, we got a YDK there. So we've got a total of 3, 4, 5 F4s that need repairing. And of course, the YDK can do a 2-point conversion, which is important because in order to be able to have the assets to be able to capture a ship, here's the kicker. Oh, ladies and gentlemen, another coffee has been fired. We've hit our goal of 4 for the stream. What? Who was it that sent that coffee? It was... Lyrans are for life, not just for Christmas. Cheers to the Lyrans. For life, not just for Christmas. Booyah! All right. Okay. All right. So let's dive into this. So we got ships that are going to be converted, so we can convert some of those F4s, or at least I think one. I think we can do one conversion there. So one F4 can be converted to a commando ship, and we'll see what that looks like. And again, we've got some more repairs to do, and we'll see what that looks like as we sort of jostle and repair ships and do what we need to do. Let's take a look at the Carnivons. You can see the Carnivons have very quickly resolved this special attack cruiser or supplementary or whatever the SAC stood for. I can't remember. You guys let me know last time what SAC stood for. But basically, this civilianized attack or assault cruiser has been crippled by, looks like the YFF here. But I don't know that... is it going to retreat, or is it going to do something else? Is it going to go try and take this resource? We'll have to see. But we can see that the Carnivon have got not only their ships ready and gone through the Kilo wormhole, but we've got Diamond Fleet here. Carnivon, where are you? Carnivon. Diamante. Diamond Fleet. Oh my goodness, look at all that. Wow. 8 drone bombardment cruisers. 9 frigates. Man, I feel like Diamond Fleet needs to go through that wormhole and go pound some Olympus. What do they got in Home Fleet? Carnivon Home Fleet. Let's take a look. Carnivon Home Fleet. Oh, that's not insignificant. You got a Hydrogen Dreadnought, a couple CCCA, a bunch of CLs with those heel nippers, drone bombardment destroyers, 5 of them, 8 frigates, and a drone bombardment cruiser. So a lot of, like, there's more than enough ships there to be able to do what they want to do. But based on what we've seen, I would recommend sending a Diamond Fleet going through the Kilo wormhole and kicking Olympus's butt and preparing them to be able to go take the Lyrans, because at the end of the day, that is the lowest hanging fruit. That's the quickest way to be able to up your economy, and that seems like a good way to go. As a reminder, though, and I'll just slide over here, the Juliet wormhole you can see here is the wormhole that the Romulans are on the other side of. That goes to the Carnivon homeworld. And 4th and 5th Legion here, just as a reminder, 4th has a Vulture, 2 Kings, and 2 Warbirds. These are Y-eras, of course. That's 4th. Let's look at 5th. Romulan 5th Legion. Look at that. So Romulan 5th Legion has a Commando Bird, which is just a Commando Cruiser, War Eagle, which can be upgraded or converted to a Queen. I believe it's a 2-point conversion. So Queen and then a King, or I think it goes from War Eagle to King, and that's a 2-point conversion, which a YDK can do. So that'll become a King Eagle. So War Eagle, Commando Bird, SNB, 6 snipes, and a scout. Plus, they've got this this troop assault ship there. So, I don't know that the Romulans are intending to attack the Carnivon, but and certainly that's not enough. That's not enough ships to cause an issue. But it's certainly enough to cause the Carnivon to pause and think about what it is they're doing. I'm sure that a little discussion between the Romulans and the Carnivon will sort that out. But yeah, I mean, it's a reason why the Carnivon maybe don't want to move Diamond Fleet. But I think Diamond Fleet, even with what you have there, I think the Carnivon are still well secure. Excuse me. And I think Diamond Fleet would be best to go through the Kilo wormhole and go get yourself some Lyran resources, because at the end of the day, that's how you're going to grow your economy and get more powerful and have more influence in the game. All right, let's slide up. We can see Strike Fleet, which is this little enclave of the Gorn hegemony, which, of course, to be fair, is just sitting there doing nothing. We've got the ISC cruising around, assault freighter, a bunch of other ships. Looks like a YCOM going back and forth. That's good. So the Carnivon are engaging in some commercial activity. Very nice. We can see that we've got the Tug potentially going to start a base here on the other side of the wormhole, which would be, I think, a sound idea. We've got a base here, and exploration freighter continuing its exploration in the backyard. This on perch is the big issue in the sense that you got a bug and you got to deal with it. We've got a fleet here, both provider and in integrity fleet. Let's take a look at the named echelons. So integrity is a CCCL, 2 FFs, and a prime team, and Providence fleet is a CL and 5 DDs. So 5 DDs plus 2 CLs, a CC, and a couple FFs, and a prime team should be enough, I would think, to be able to deal with this little bug. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. I think they'll certainly go up there and poke this this little individual up here, and we'll see what happens. We'll see what the IC tell us about that interaction and how that resolves. Another thing to think about here is the Whiskey Wormhole. You've got Order Fleet, and we've got 2 CLs, 2 FFs, a Tug, and Order Fleet. So I just put it away. Let's take a look at it. Order Fleet, CA, 4 CLs, and a Tug. So not enough to be able to threaten an invasion, more than enough to be able to stop an incursion. And so I think if I'm the ISC, I'm building a base there, and I'm going to prepare for, at least prepare for a potential invasion from the Tholians and potential invasion of the ISC into Tholian space. That would be interesting to observe, perhaps. So we'll see. Interesting. Okay. So that's the ISC. Let's round out with the Remans real quick. So a couple things here that interest me. Of course, there's Pacific Fleet, which I think did we not already? Reman, Pacifica Fleet. Boom. Okay, so Pacifica Fleet, 2 cruisers, 12 destroyers, 12 frigates, and a crippled one. So nothing too crazy here. We do have a base station with a Tug. I'm imagining that they're probably going to upgrade that to a YDK. But that's more than enough to stop fleets coming through. I don't know that that's enough to be able to go through and kick butt and take names. However, Athena Fleet is sitting here along with, Athena Fleet. So let's take a look at Athena. Where are you? There you are. This is the fleet. Look at this. 8 cruisers plus the CC plus the dreadnoughts. That's a total of 10 cruiser plus hulls. You've got 21 destroyers and 8 frigates. This fleet alone could walk through anything on the other side of that wormhole and would be a huge, huge headache for the Tholians. So we'll have to see what that looks like when they decide, if they decide to go through and do that. Algeti? We'll call it Algeti. Algeti Fleet here. There we are. So we got a CL, 2 DDs, and 3 FFs. Notice how they have come off the base. These guys are starting to wander. And what I have to wonder about the wandering is, are the Juggernauts looking to provoke, engage, stir the pot when it comes to whoever's poking and prodding them? We do know that obviously with that territory explored, the Juggernauts will be able to quickly uncover any fog of war hexes they have on their side of the map and be able to reach out and sort of poke and prod at the Remans. If I'm the Remans, I would be a little concerned about that. And to be honest, I would be getting to the point where I can take Athena Fleet, put it on this planet, and defend it, and reach out and attack Algeti Fleet as best I can. Because you got more than enough in Athena Fleet to destroy Algeti. So if I'm the Remans, I'm putting myself in a position where I can either A, pin Algeti Fleet if it's going to continue to loiter off the base, pin Algeti Fleet because it's only got 5 ships in that fleet, and then put the rest to destroy the bats so that the fleet is then out of supply, and then catch that fleet out of supply and attack it. Because I think that is the best way to destroy. In fact, if I'm 1, 2, 3, so if I'm the Remans, this is what I do. I move the Y convoy to here, Mike 24. It can have, assuming 4 supply, it can extend supply 4 hexes, 1, 2, 3, 4. I then put Athena Fleet on LL23. The next turn, Athena Fleet will split and move in such a way. So whether it's Athena Fleet or it's Pacific Fleet, it doesn't matter. So Pacific Fleet, let's say, moves to pin Algeti. So assuming Algeti is somewhere assuming it's operating in this area here, in the Julia column or the Kilo column, Pacifica Fleet moves to pin Algeti first. Then Athena Fleet, being in Lima Lima 23, moves in, because it's outside of the extended sensor range of the bats, moves in to attack the bats and destroy the bats. Once the bats is destroyed, the Athena Fleet stays there, stays in this hex, cutting off supply to Algeti Fleet, and Algeti Fleet can't retreat back. Then you resolve the battle with Algeti Fleet. Let's assume that Pacific Fleet doesn't do much or does a little bit of damage and then retreats. Maybe they wipe him out. Who knows? But now they're out of supply. So Algeti Fleet is floating, and the only thing they can really do is try and get past or move into, because they'll only be able to move 3 hexes versus their normal 6. And let's assume that they're in the Kilo hex. 1, 2, 3. They will most likely move in such a way that they will be within the sensor range of Athena Fleet, and then Athena Fleet can go beat them up. Boom. Or at the very least, eliminate their reach to Riemann space. That'd be my recommendation, to be able to deal with these guys, because they this will just be a pain or a thorn in your side. And if they take this planet or do other, it'll just be a pain. Just be a pain. Otherwise, what kind of exciting stuff do we have going on? Well, we talked about the Lyrans up here. We've got a bunch of crippled ships here. This is, I'm assuming, leftovers from what happened with the Lyrans from before. And so we just want to do our best to repair them. This KT-4 tug probably wants to build a base. 1, 2, 3, 4. A base sooner than later. It's interesting, if we take away the ships real quick, look at the disposition of bases. The bases here are all over the place. And I think, granted, the short-term goal of the Riemanns is to grab and secure resources. I think a long-term strategy would be to be able to reinforce and substantially make a little more robust their supply network. Because right now it's very fragile. There's a couple critical points of failure, like this guy right here. So I would start, integrating some resiliency, some robustness in the supply network for the Riemann supply system. That would be my 2 cents as is right now. So with that said, let's slide into the chat, and you tell me what you think. All right. So we are back in the chat, and let's check it out. So first of all, Daniel says, full coffee bar. Way to go, everyone. Woo, woo, woo. Yes, thank you very much to everyone for your consistent and continuous coffee support. I want to be really clear. Whether it's, creating these patches, which, by the way, they are, I'm sending out this week. I will be sending these guys out. So if you haven't already, for those of you who are in the Discord chat and you haven't already, or if you're a coffee supporter, check your email. I sent you out an email about the form that you need to fill out to be able to get your patch, and then I'll start mailing them out this coming week. Hopefully you guys will all get your patches before Christmas, depending on where you are in the world. I don't know about Australia. I don't know what the timeline is on mail getting there. It's all going to go by a standard mail. So, I'm not sure what the timeline is on mail arriving. You'll have to let me know, but I'll let you know that these guys are going out next week. So whether it's those patches or just the production here, as far as all the bells and whistles for all the tech gear and stuff that we have to be able to make this stuff, or even just being able to create this awesome community of players and bring everybody together. All your support is greatly appreciated, and thank you so much. Not only for the coffee support, but just the general sort of sense of sort of optimism and encouragement and positive energy around this. And I know that gets all fluffy, but I mean, at the end of the day, you guys like what we do here. You enjoy playing this game. And when we started this channel, now about 1.5 years ago, all it was trying to take this small group of people, with about 6 or 8 of us, who played this game and wanting to increase the player base so that we could further, because at the time when I started this channel, the idea was F&E is a dying game. Federation Empire is a turn-based strategy game that no one plays anymore. And we want to create a community around this game because I know there are people out there who play it. There's lots of guys, lots of folks who play SFB. There's lots of people who do know about and play F&E. There are groups on Facebook and so on, but we're all isolated. We're all in our own little silos and we don't communicate and connect. And of course, COVID, that's a whole nother, kettle of fish there. But to be able to bring us together, for those of us who enjoy this kind of game, for those of you who want to play this game, who played it in the past, want to play it again, who are looking for opportunities to be able to connect with folks and do this online, or like do this in a way where you can keep playing the game and have a greater group of players to play with. That is the whole purpose and the intent of this community. Bring people together, play this game, have fun, enjoy the time that we spend together, and just overall have a good time. And you were all part of that. You were all, the positive atmosphere that creates this community, that brings us together, that creates the energy and the excitement around creating the new vassal modules that have been created. That we've got some other campaigns on the go. We have another potential campaign starting at the end of the year and then into the new year. I don't have any updates on that, but once I do, I will let you know. And all the energy and the activity around creating that stuff is phenomenal. And you let me know, like, how in the comments, if you're watching the replay, and of course here live, what is it that you're enjoying about watching this campaign evolve? Is it something, do you enjoy the step-by-step, the play-by-play, the walk through the map? Is it just the ridiculous craziness of Tony on screen, or are there other elements of this experience that you are enjoying watching? I mean, after all, if you're watching at this point, you are now, an hour and a half into this. And so, thank you so much for staying with us this long. But what is it about this show, this stream, this community that gets you going? What is, put that in the notes and let me know what it is that you like about what it is that we're doing here. At the end of the day, when we talk about things like the 500 subscriber goal and all these kinds of things, all those are milestones to be able to enable other capabilities. Like, the only reason we want to get to, obviously we want to keep building the community, but the reason why 500 is a number is just because it unlocks a capability on YouTube that we can put in the community tab. Okay, so we don't have the community tab right now. Once we get to 500, that's one of the milestones that unlocks that. Let's get there. Tell two friends. Let's build this community and get us out to that number. Are there people who want to play this game some more? Yes, let's get those people in here. Let's get other campaigns running. We need other members of this community who are able, capable, willing to be able to GM and run games, and build out a community of players who enjoy the process of playing the game and not just winning, if you know what I mean. And further build out our F&E module, or building out aspects of this game that allow us to be able to play more and have fun and just, have a good time together. So with that said, let's jump into the chit chat here. Small auxiliary cruiser, Bill says. Yep, that's right. SAC, small auxiliary cruiser. Thank you very much. Gorns did that. I popped the base after moving the ships off of it. Oh yeah, that's right. The Gorn did that previously with the bats in their area. They pulled the ships off of it and then moved in behind and popped that base. You Can't Be Petty says, Tony, I agree 100%. Thank you very much. But yeah, like the idea basically here is that we're building a community. We want you guys to be part of it, and away you go. So right after this live stream, we'll be collecting, or we'll be convening. We'll be getting together on Discord real quick to be able to talk about what's going on in the game, things that are going on. And we'll chit chat and talk shop about all things Star Trek, F&E, SFB, and of course, New World. So thank you everybody for joining us today. Really appreciate you supporting the show. Thank you for the 4 coffees for today. And I will see you all next week, 11 o'clock, Saturday. See you then. Ciao for now.